Hello and welcome once again. Following an attack on the Abuja-Kaduna rail corridor by yet to be identified gunmen, the Nigeria Railway Corporation is suspending indefinitely train services along the Abuja-Kaduna route. The Railway Corporation in a statement says it took the action to protect passengers and crew members. It also says ticket sales to passengers have also been suspended to avoid people being stranded. The corporation says no casualties or injuries were recorded during the incident. It says it is making efforts to ensure absolute safety along the route. Well, we turn to Garba Muhammad, who was a passenger on board the train that was attacked by bandits with explosives. Muhammad is a journalist and a former chairman of the Nigerian Union of Journalists in Kaduna. Glad to have you join us on Newsnight, Muhammad. Could you give us a graphic illustration of your experience and that of other passengers?
It was quite an experience, really. We took off around 6 p.m. from Idu terminal in Abuja. About 1.5 hours into the journey, that's about 40 kilometers into Kaduna, we had a very loud sound, bam, and then nobody suspected anything, and then that was all. The train moved for some kilometers and stopped abruptly. And since then, nobody said anything to the passengers for over an hour. Later on, somebody came to our coaches and he was telling us that the train developed a technical fault, but that another locomotive engine is coming in from Abuja in the next 45 minutes. That took another 1 or 2 hours. And so we were stranded for over 4 hours in that forest that is between Rijana and a village called Dusi. And later on, the locomotive came and then it pushed us for some kilometers and stopped again. A journey that is supposed to be about 30 minutes from that point to the Rigasa train terminal took over 2 hours. Well, finally we arrived Kaduna around 2 a.m. in the night. And then we met most of our families at the train station. You know, there was no network along that route because of the security operations. So we couldn't communicate to our families while we were in that situation. Not until when we arrived at the station, many of our families were apprehensive. Finally, we arrived, and then we're glad we arrived safely. And that was when we started hearing most of the information that were going around that probably it was an attack or something. I am not confirming that. I'm not the security representative, neither am I a staff of the NRC. All we knew was that we had a very loud bang, and it resulted into an abrupt termination of our journey midnight. A journey that is supposed to be just 2 hours from Abuja to Kaduna took us over 6 hours in a very, very, the pandemonium was so overwhelming inside the trains. One of the coaches, the VIP coaches, the security guards there, immediately after we had that explosion, they were shouting to all the passengers to lie down. So that really created a lot of tension. Some of them ran out of the coaches and went to our economy coaches. That was when we realized that all is not well. Well, like I said, we thank God we have arrived home safely. And then we started seeing the heroic pictures of what happened to the rail lines.
Indeed, and we're equally happy for you and other passengers on that train. Do you want to tell us what was going on in your mind, bearing in mind that at a time like this, there's terrorism everywhere? I know you don't want to confirm whether it was a terrorist attack or vandalism, based on what the managing director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation has said. Of course, investigations are ongoing. But what was going on in your mind? And if the rails are back on track, would you gladly travel by rail again?
Of course, yes. I consider the rail travel to Kaduna, Abuja, the safest means of travel. The roads are not safe at all. We have some level of safety in the train. You can imagine what it would have been if you were in the vehicle and you had that explosion. You know what it means. Because it was in the rail, you can see that we had minimal. There wasn't any casualty, but even the train itself, there wasn't any damage except for the locomotive, like they said. I wasn't there. We were all locked up in our coaches, so I didn't go out to carry out any. In fact, I can't be a hero in that situation. Everybody was trying to scamper for a place you can be safe inside, and all were trying to pray in their own faith. And the most important aspect here is that, rather, one very experience that we had was the situation where we ran out of water to drink water in most of the toilets. Before the ones in the toilet ran out, you see that people, because of exhaustions, they had to resort to taking water to drink from the taps inside the toilet. So, it was so bad that people started moving around. You hear some rumor going around, the few securities around. You don't hear anything about what has happened. And then later on, one of the coach was open for some to go out and ease themselves, because virtually all the toilets could not be used at that particular time, because of the lack of water. And during that explosion, the AC and the lights inside the coaches went off. So we're left in the heat inside, and it was so, the condition was so bad. But like I said, it's over now, but that will not stop us from taking the rail once it is put in order. I will still believe it is the safest means of travel for now. But I think the securities have to do extra over this issue of insecurity that is bedeviling this part of the country. Rail travel is what we consider to be a better thing, but now I believe many people will not. But of course, yes, it's one of those things.
That story that ended well.
Yes, Garba Muhammad, passenger on that train, former chairman of the NUJ in Kaduna there, giving us an eyewitness account